Shalom, Mr. Brother Azariah, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Salutations, peace, and blessings, Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai, Barakatham, to the hopefully elect out there listening and learning. So, these prophecies are speaking. Things continue to pick up each and every day. Every day that goes by, we're one step closer to Jacob's trouble, one more day closer to the MOTB, one more day closer to World War III, and one more day closer to the return of our Lord Yahweh Shai, where this wicked world is going to be taken out, destroyed with fire. So it tells you in Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, the vision is for an appointed time. This is the appointed time for these things to come forth, but mainly concerning this war with NATO and Russia. Things are very crucial right now. NATO talking about they're gonna have nukes on standby because that Russian threat is that real, and Russia's not backing down. China, we'll get into it, but China, a Chinese nuclear submarine just popped up near Taiwan, and who's over there in Taiwan also with their military base? America. So what's about to happen is that these nations are going to go to war pursuant to biblical prophecy. Why do you think they just passed that House bill that now mandates all young men and women, I guess too, I guess that's thrown in there as well, between the ages of 18 and 26 to sign up for mandatory military service. It's basically a draft. Now they wouldn't put, they wouldn't have passed that so quick, because that just came like out of nowhere. That just happened all of a sudden. They wouldn't have put this thing through so fast if they didn't know there was an imminent threat of war. And of course, we know in years prior they failed to meet their recruitment goals. So this is like, listen, we're about to go to war. We need bodies to throw into the meat grinder. We need as many bodies as we can get. And a lot of these, Gen Zs need to go to war, man. All right. I'll just say that. A lot of these Gen Zs need to go to war because they just through. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they talking about NATO and Russia in 3 months. It's on. All right. It's on, and it's going to be popping. So we're going to go ahead and check out this redacted clip. Matter of fact, before I do that, let me go to Exodus 15 and verse 2. It says, "The Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, is my strength and song, and he is become my salvation. He is my power, and I will prepare him in habitation, my father's power, and I will exalt him. The Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, is a man of war. The Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, is his name." All right. So the Lord is a man of war. All right. And the Lord is gathering these nations together for war, because this is ultimately the intents and purposes that the Most High has designed, has predestined since the very beginning for this world to come to an end. So this great finale, this movie that the Lord has set up, this thing about to go out with a massive bang, literally. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be nukes flying, and it's going to be a lot of banging going on. It's going to be a lot of deletions that's going to be happening, man. You see? But we know that final destruction is not going to come until Yahweh Shai returns in the midst of World War III. Then all these nations, tells you about that in 2nd Ezra 13, that, that they were sore afraid, yet they, did fight. They're going to be fighting each other. Then when Yahweh Shai come back with the host of heaven, the angels and the chariots, they're going to turn their guns on him. But hey, look, the end of all things is very near. All right. That's the point. These things are happening. So without further ado, let's get into this. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. This lesson is purely for educational purposes. I'm not making any money off of this. Strictly educational purposes.
in which NATO, unceremoniously crapped all over. Now, Viktor Orban, the prime minister of Hungary, warning all of us that yes, in fact, NATO is moving to expand, building 3 additional bases, and plans to push us into full-blown war with Russia. Watch.
A NATO úgy akarja segíteni Ukrajnát, hogy létrehoz egy úgynevezett NATO-ukrán missziót. Ez azt jelenti, hogy a NATO fogja koordinálni az Ukrajnának adandó fegyverek átszállítását, létre fognak hozni 3 nagy támaszpontot, ahol átadják a fegyvereket Ukrajnának, de még itt NATO országok területén, Lengyelországban, Szlovákiában, Romániában. Mi erre nem vagyunk hajlandóak. Szerintünk, ahol fegyvereket adnak át, az katonai célponttá válik az ellenség nézőpontjából, és ott bármi megtörténhet. És tehát az ukrán misszió azt jelenti a NATO felől, hogy létrehozza ezeket a fegyverkoordinációs átadási pontokat. A második, hogy a NATO tagállamok pénzt dobnak össze, hogy támogassák Ukrajna katonai erőfeszítéseit, és harmadrészt pedig kiképeznek ukrán katonákat. Van egy vita, hogy a saját területükön vagy Ukrajna területén, de a lényeg, hogy a frontra menő ukrán katonák kiképzésében közvetlen szerepet vállalnak. Most Magyarország ebben nem akar részt venni. És ezt a problémát kellett megoldani. Nyilvánvalóan van rajtunk egy óriási nyomás. 31 tagállam tol bennünket bele, hogy úgy, ahogy ők, mi is álljunk át a béke oldaláról, a háború oldalára.
And he's not the only one. We have Serbian President Vucic also saying the very same thing, that war with Russia will start in about 3 months. So 3 months till a full-blown war, this appears to be what NATO wants. And NATO seems to be getting this. Let's ask former CIA intelligence agent Larry Johnson, who has some impeccable sources on this. I wanted to get Larry's assessment of this from an intelligence perspective, and what is sort of like happening in the back channels right now as this appears to be barreling towards war. Larry, welcome back to the show. Good to see you.
Hey, Clayton. Great to be with you, man.
So, we see Putin put out this peace proposal the other day, and NATO just immediately just stepped all over it. No, we're not going to be giving back this land. This is not going to happen. And it appears that the only solution from NATO's perspective is like a surrender of Russia, which is not going to happen. So,
and this shows you right here that there is no free will. See, everything is happening according to, as it is written, according to the Lord's will. All right? Because these nations understand that nuclear war is mutually assured destruction. Nobody is going to win. If Russia shoots off nukes and NATO shoots their nukes off, everyone's going to be destroyed. You see? So understanding that if there was free will, if there was some common sense in the room, if you will, then these nations would have came together, sat down at the round table and said, you know what? We do have our differences, we have land disputes, we have political disputes, and this and that. But we can't have nuclear war. Nuclear war has to be off the table because all of us are going to perish if nuclear war breaks out. But you see the opposite, right? NATO in Russia, they not backing down. They're like, no, because why? The Lord has them in his spirit to continue this way. The Lord has a spirit on these nations to continue the conflict, to continue to escalate things, man. It's not going to die down because the word must be fulfilled as it is written. All right. The Lord is not a man that he should lie. So whatever he's proclaimed out of his mouth, these things must be accomplished, man. These things must be fulfilled. So this is why, and people are bugged out about this. People are like, damn, well, don't they understand nuclear war is going to be the end of this world? Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, they do understand that. Really, they don't want this. But again, the Lord is pushing them in this direction. See, the Lord got a battery in these leaders' back to continue down this road of destruction. Because this is all that it's going to lead to. It doesn't make sense to continue down this road, but they're doing it anyway. Why? Because it's the will of the Lord. You see, and all these nations, man, all of them are being gathered together. You have the BRICS rising up. You have NATO going down. Listen, NATO don't stand a chance against the BRICS alliance. You know what I'm saying? Like Russia alone could smash Europe. China, listen, forget about it. Even Turkey now, which Turkey is like the number 2 military power in NATO, they're looking to go with the BRICS. They're looking to leave NATO. So if Turkey leaves, and then America, which is the head of NATO, they're not going to back up their European allies. That's already well understood. So, listen, man, that Revelation 17 and 16, the beast shall hate the whore, and these nations are going to jump ship. Turkey is going to be the first one. All right, then that Nord Stream pipeline, America destroyed that. Them European nations know that. Putin came out the other day and said that NATO's biggest enemy is America. He said that. And behind closed doors, quiet as it's kept. A lot of these, many of those, NATO nations, they already know that. But this is just me speaking as a man. I believe that they're just playing, just playing the wall right now, just kind of waiting to, for the right opportunity to jump ship. Because listen, it is going to come. And once Turkey leaves, it's going to be like, damn, well, what do we have left? Turkey's gone. Like, damn, like they were our biggest military buffer against the East. Now that they gone, now that they didn't join, because look, Turkey is like, listen, we don't want no smoke with Russia. We don't want no smoke with China, because it's all over, man. See, let's continue.
What do you think is happening right now, sort of back channels to maybe prevent World War III, or are we heading towards a full-blown World War III?
With respect to your last question, yes, that's where we're headed. Putin he's playing a game of poker with the West, and the West doesn't realize it's not holding any cards. So when you go back and look at the negotiations that took place in March of 22, Putin at that point was willing to let Luhansk and Donetsk stay within Ukraine. That was then. The West, as you correctly noted, crapped all over that, told Zelensky to back out of that. He did. So they didn't get that deal done. So now here we are. Putin has put a new deal on the table. Okay, this deal now says, all right, we're going to keep Donetsk, we're going to keep Luhansk, and we're going to keep Kherson and Zaporizhia. But come to the table and talk. We'll everything else is open. Notice what wasn't on that list. Odessa. So Putin has left Odessa in play for them, giving the West and Ukraine an incentive to save something of Ukraine. And what did the West do? Once again, as you said, crapped all over it. Okay, they missed this opportunity. Next stop, Odessa and Kiev. So the Russians are prepared. They recognize they are at war with NATO. They're not just fighting Ukraine. And Putin made that very clear last week when he spoke before the foreign ministry.
Yeah, and Russia's going so hard right now because, like he said, they understand that they're already at war with NATO. Because why? You have British troops in NATO. You have French troops, German troops, Italian troops in NATO, man. So NATO is really using Ukraine as a buffer to fight against Russia. And this is what it's been since the very beginning. All right. Because right now in Ukraine, you have a whole generation of young men that have just been killed off, like completely wiped out. This is why now NATO has to send their armed forces to Ukraine to continue this war. But really, it's really all in vain because this war is over, man. This war has been over for a very long time. This is why when Putin did that interview with Tucker Carlson, he said to Tucker Carlson, like, can America be so stupid? Like, you don't have nothing better to do than to fight in Ukraine? Like, you're fighting a losing battle. Matter of fact, you've already lost. All you're doing now is just pumping resources into a lost cause, man. It's not going anywhere. You see? But again, NATO must continue to keep up this facade of a war All right, because that's really like Ukraine is, like I said, the buffer between NATO and Russia. See, if Russia takes Ukraine, that's a very strategic land, and also, Ukraine is rich in resources, right? Ukraine is pretty much the breadbasket of the world, especially Europe. So if Russia takes Ukraine, then guess what? They can cut off that food supply to Europe, and guess what? Without a food supply, you can't have no armies. You can't feed your soldiers. You can't feed your population. All right. Famine is going to occur. Many people are going to die. All right. So Russia has a lot of interest in Ukraine, and so does NATO. But as it is right now, Russia is smashing through Ukraine. They smashing through NATO. You see? And really, like, the cold part about it is Russia isn't even using 100% of its military force in Ukraine. They're not even going all out. You know? They just pretty much holding what they've already took. But really, if they really wanted to go all out, just go full force, they could run right through Ukraine and take Kyiv. They could right now if they wanted to, but Russia's playing a very strategic game. All right, they're playing the long game with the West because they're waiting for NATO to run out of resources. They're waiting for NATO to run out of troops and money. All right, then you strike. See, so Putin is a very calculated, war strategist, man. Like, Putin knows what he's doing. The West in America, not so much. All right, but let's continue.
And I was in Russia for the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum a week and a half ago, and it was during that week on Monday that I think it was Monday, June 4th, June 3rd. There was a decided shift in what both Vladimir Putin was saying, what Foreign Minister Lavrov was saying, and Deputy Foreign Minister Rybkov was saying. They were making it very clear that the West was playing with fire and that Russia was not going to sit back and be a punching bag. That was their bottom line. And so it's up to the West to figure out what it's going to do. The Russians are prepared to go to war. And here's the real problem. The West is delusional. It's out of touch. It believes its own advertisements. And it's in the self-delusional state where they've convinced themselves that Russia is weak, that the only reason Russia's hanging in there is because of China. And so what the Russ really wants to do is go after China, as you saw Jens Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, say just today. They want to fight China. These guys are like a drunk in a bar that's out of control, wants to fight everybody. And like that drunk in the bar, incapable of throwing a punch.
It's really disturbing, and Viktor Orban doesn't want to be a part of it, it appears, the Prime Minister of Hungary, as we just played that sound from you, and here he's laying out exactly what he's being told from a NATO perspective. I mean, this is kind of amazing. I mean, here you have a NATO member saying NATO wants to expand, added 3 additional bases, and they want full-blown war with Russia, and we don't want to be a part of it. I mean, I've never seen anything like this happen before.
Right, and Slovakia is saying the same, and Turkey. Now, that's the key one, because the Turks weighed in last week, said, okay, hey, we want to be a part of BRICS. We're tired of getting stiffed by the Europeans for 25 years. We've been trying to get into the EU for 25 years, and they keep, giving us the finger.
Right.
And now Turkey said, okay, we're getting to BRICS. And the Turks told the rest of NATO, hey, if you get into war with Russia, count us out. Why is that important? Turkey represents the second largest military force in NATO. Without Turkey, NATO's an empty shell, because right now in the U.S. military, the entire strength of the U.S. Army, 455,000. That covers the globe. Russian military is 1.3 million. Normally, any army.
So you heard that? The U.S. military. This is why They just passed that bill of mandatory military service 18 through 26. Because the standing U.S. military right now is at 400 something thousand, man. Russia is in the millions. 1.3 million ready to go to war. And this is another thing. This is how you know that NATO, they're going to leave America behind. Because they also understand that, listen, our militaries are weak and America's military is weak and out of order. So if we go to war with Russia, how the hell is America going to defend us? Russia got hypersonic missiles, bro. China, they have, listen, if China make the call today and say, listen, we need 10 million young men to up and go to war. They gonna have that overnight like that. America can't do that. Nobody wants to fight for America because this place is corrupt and it's effing over its own people, man. The morale here is at zero, and they understand that these wars are bankers' wars, that they're unjust. It's not for a righteous cause, man. And then what do you have to fight for here in America? What are you fighting for? Inflation? What are you fighting for? High taxes? Not being able to afford your car note, not being able to pay your rent, being laid off. This is what people are fighting for. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, listen. The Lord is setting this thing up beautifully, man, because listen, all these nations are gonna collapse. You see? All these nations are gonna collapse due to their own internal problems, politically, militarily, philosophically, the elites at the West, they're engineering famines. You see, so listen, all these things are about to come down the pipeline hardcore, man. You see? And what this guy is saying is that basically NATO has no chance against Russia and China. This is why Turkey is like, yo, F that. We about to go with the BRICS. F what you guys are talking about. We, what I'm saying, we going over here with the winners. NATO was finished. NATO was through. Let's continue.
Army that's going to get in an offensive action against a defending foe, in this case, Russia would be the defending force, needs a 3-to-1 advantage. Well, do the math. They got 1.3 million. That means you better be going in there with about 4 million folks. They can't even meet the recruiting goals in the United States. The only way they're meeting the recruiting goals now, they lowered, last year they wanted to recruit like 70,000. They missed it. This year they're saying, yay, we're making our goal. Because They lowered the number to 55,000. Okay.
Right. This is how they play. Yeah.
When you're lying to yourself like this all the time and you don't even recognize you're lying to yourself, that's a sign you're in trouble.
And of course, we learned now the House of Representatives is pushing forward with this move to make mandatory registration for service members, men 18 to 26-year-old in the United States into selective service. So as part of a national draft age. So this is really, really scary. I mean, and you heard the Serbian President Vučić also saying that in about 3 months, this is when they're going to war. Like, they're privy to this information, whether through intelligence sources or not. I mean, what from your intelligence sources, when you hear Vučić say something like 3 months, that's when we're heading to war with Russia, or NATO is heading to war with Russia, do your alarm bells go off? Are you able to confirm, deny anything like that on your side?
Road and Track calls Mazda a unique blend of quality, reliability.
Well, from the rhetoric standpoint, in terms of what they're saying, not just what Orban's saying, but what Stoltenberg is saying, what members of Congress are saying, yeah, I think that's the direction we're headed. But here's the problem. Behind that talk, it's easy to be, tough talk and the bombast and the belligerency. But that means you got to put in place, under the U.S. military what's called JOPS, the Joint Operations Planning Execution System. There's a thing called the tip fiddle. Well, that is the time phase introduction of troops. So tip fiddle means you got to start notifying units, okay, hey, you're going to deploy, and they get the warning, they get an alert order, and then they get a warning order, and then they get a deployment order, and then so that takes time.
Right.
I know, for example, on the Gulf War, in the war that started in 2003 in Iraq, that whole process started a year out. So I have not heard any word that tip fiddle has actually been activated and that they're starting to move troops. But even if they do that, where are they going to get the troops? They don't. It's not like everybody. England's sitting there, max force 70,000 guys. Okay, that's how many people Ukraine has lost in 2 months. Just to put it into context. Germans, similar size. Finland, Sweden. I mean, NATO's is a joke, and it's talking. Its mouth is trying to cash checks that it just can't actually write.
Is it possible then that we wouldn't see NATO trying to go into a direct hot war with Russia, but rather continue down this path? After all, President Biden over the past few days signing that ridiculous 10-year agreement with Zelensky to funnel billions more in weapons and money into Ukraine for 10 years. I guess really regardless of whoever's president, they know that they wanted to get this done before Biden's replaced in office by Gavin Newsom in the next few weeks. So they want to get this done ahead of time so that Trump can't undermine it, can't pull this money back. Is it possible that it'll just continue to be a sieve where we'll just continue to pour money and weapons to clean out the stocks, but not actually go into a full-blown direct hot war with Russia, or has that ship already sailed?
Well, the U.S. can't figure out what it wants to do, and neither can NATO. Because on the one hand, they continue to talk like, okay, we got to step up and get that funding for Ukraine. Except even Stoltenberg admitted, about 3 weeks ago, hey, all of you NATO countries have promised the ante up for Ukraine. Where's your money? You've refused to pay up.
Right.
So they're not kicking in. And at the same time, the rhetoric is shifting. Well, Russia's a problem, but China's the threat. We got it. And they can't stop the Houthis, for God's sake. These guys are wearing sandals and carrying curved daggers and throwing missiles at us, and we can't stop that. But by God, we're going to take on the Chinese, and while we're at it, we're going to fight the Russians. Okay, get the bottle away from them. Take the syringe out of their hand. It's like a degenerate drug addict.
Yeah.
So you heard the man. Take the bottle out of their hands. Take the syringe. You see, what's really happened is that Babylon, this whole beast system has drunken of their own wine. So much to the point now where they're drunk off of their own wine. Here it is. The beast is talking big shit against Russia and China and their allies. Meanwhile, in Europe, as well as America, mainly these Edomites, they're dying faster than being born. They don't have the military personnel nor the military equipment to fight a full-scale war. All right? Their morale is low. Infrastructure is pretty much done. All right? NATO is done, man. America is done. Like I said, Russia has hypersonic missiles. Like, do you understand that? Russia, they have missiles that can travel faster than the speed of sound. America does not have a defense system to deal with that. No NATO country has a defense system to deal with that. Russia doesn't even have to invade with ground troops, man. If they wanted to, they could just fire off 1 or 2 ICBM hypersonic missiles and it would all be over. You see, but of course we know that's not going to happen because, it's not time for that to happen yet. And ultimately, NATO, they're going to side with Russia. And they're going to turn on America according to biblical prophecy. All right. So these Edomite nations are done. They don't have a fighting chance against Russia and against China. It's all over. You see? This is why, you know, the guest on Redacted, Clayton's guest, he's just like, listen, basically, in all words, he's like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are these people talking about? How can you talk this big talk against enemies that clearly are superior over you? It doesn't make any sense, but this is the pride of Esau. Okay. As is written in Obadiah, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. You see? So Esau's own pride, man, because they were so great in years prior, you know, no one could make war with the beast. Like the whole world marveled after the beast, right? They still think that they the top shit, but not anymore. All right, now a new dog then came up on the block and he running things. All right, but the old dog, the old dog still think that he young and strong. So he's still barking until the new dog on the block put that paw in his face and bite his ass. Then you gonna humble down. All right. Isaiah 13:4. The noise of a multitude, Salaki. Let me start at verse 1. Let me start at the top. The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. Now, as we just read in Exodus, the Lord is a man of war. You see? So war is the purpose for all these contentions that's going on. War is the purpose. This is why these nations can't agree, because ultimately the Lord is a man of war. He wants war. And Yahweh Shai, all right, he's going to intervene in this final world's war. Right? Verse 5, they come from a far country, from the end of the heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation. You see, to destroy the whole land. How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand, it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. There you go. Okay. So, all these things are coming down, man. And then when you go to Revelation 16:16, it speaks about that Armageddon, right? Revelation 16:15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth. All right, which the men of the Lord, we're watching and we're warning. All right, we're standing on that high tower, and we're continuously, calling out everything that we see going on. All right, day in and day out. Like, listen, brothers making videos every hour. All right, so you constantly being updated with the news and things of what's going on, man. We've been commanded to do so, right? Blessed, behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, or Hamagadwan in the Paleo Hebrew. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done. See, so the end of all things is near, man. But listen, the Lord is gathering these nations together. Read about that in Joel, the 3rd chapter. You see, he's gathering them into that valley of Yahweh Shaphat. All right, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Harmagadwan, or Armageddon. See, this is where all these nations are going to gather together, do this final war's war, and Yahweh Shai is going to return in the midst. Also, when you go to verse 12, same chapter, Revelation 16, it tells you what? And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Who are the kings of the east? Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, India. All right. All these eastern kings, man, they're gonna move their armies across that Euphrates River into what region? The so-called Middle East or Western Asia. Right? They're all gonna converge upon the land of Israel, and this is where it's all gonna go down, according to biblical prophecy, man. So you see what the Lord is doing? Call her Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. See, the Lord is setting all this up, man, and we're watching these things go down in real time. Listen, man, prophecy watching. This is what's hot right now. Like, everybody's talking about prophecy right now, man. The men of the Lord have brought this, have truly brought this Bible to life, because the Christian church wasn't teaching you about no damn prophecy. Okay, the Christian church was not telling you about the things going on in this world, and that you need to repent and seek the Lord while you have the time, man. They going into dogma and all this other nonsense, man, teaching false doctrine. This is what's going on right now. How do you make sense of it? Through the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. This is how we get the understanding. All right. If the Lord is dealing with you, you can, the Lord's going to give you the understanding of these prophecies. All right. Because listen, time is short, as we always say. Let's close out on these two articles. This here, developing a Chinese nuclear armed submarine surfaces near Taiwan. So you see, China, they've been kind of quiet on Taiwan, but they've been watching. All right, because they're not about to let the West get up in Taiwan and try to pull a Ukraine. All right, because that's what NATO tried to do with Ukraine. They tried to get up in there, make biolabs and trying to build nuclear silos that they could launch, and directly strike Russia. They trying to do the same thing in Taiwan. And also, America has interest in Taiwan because of those, chip factories, because we already know that this, new B system that they about to roll this thing out. So they going to need those chips, man. You see? So there's about to be a conflict over there as well. And they got a nuclear submarine that's popping up, Listen, man, things is getting critical. All right. A draft is about to be declared, Also, I saw this as well on here, Israel, they're looking to go into Lebanon, Salakia, to, continue to fight this Hamas threat, quote unquote, because we already know what that's about, but things, as things continue to intensify in that so-called Middle East region, things over here. Listen, you have a lot going on right now. All right. The economy of the West is tanking. War is on the horizon. Natural disasters, so-called natural disasters, which are the judgments of Yahweh Bashmel Shai, are taking place at an unprecedented level. So we're truly at the end. These are beautiful times to be living through. 2nd Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, woe is me. And woe goes into destruction. Who will deliver me in those days? The prophet Ezra, he's seeing the vision of the last days, and he's like, damn, this is wild. Like, who's gonna save me when these things go down? Like, that's how bad it was, And pretty much all the prophets, they saw visions of the end. They just saw it at different times, and they saw different aspects of it. You know what I'm saying? But they all saw the same thing. All right, they all saw the last days and how chaotic and how, just how fearful of a time that it was, man. This is why Ezra is saying, woe is me, destruction unto me. Who is going to save me? Right? Verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? And what are the elect going to do? Well, the elect are going to call upon the names of Yahweh Basham Yahushai. All right, the elect are going to hide themselves in a strong tower, which is the name of Yahweh Shai. All right, the scriptures say, as it is written, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. Where are the elect going to hide themselves? Well, in the safe pavilion of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because ultimately we understand that the Lord is bringing this. And if the Lord is bringing it, he has the power to destroy you in it, or he has the power to give you that tawah, all right, that mark of exemption. And hey, we want to be exempt from these judgments, man, because listen, the scriptures already tell you, majority of this earth, 2/3, all right, 2/3 of Israel, all right, is going to be cut off and die because they refuse to repent, man. And the rest of these heathen, they're through too. You know what I'm saying? Majority of them are going to be cut off. You see what I'm saying? Majority of them are going to be put to death through disease, through famine, war, of course. All right, it's going to be a lot of death by the sword, man. Because of what? Lack of resources is going to come. Times are going to get very desperate. Listen, as we always tell you, you have to prepare your mind for the times that we're coming into, because it's not going to be peaches and cream, man. Even those of us in this truth, like, we understand that we are in the flesh, and when these things come, there is going to be an element of like, damn, like we just read Ezra was like, what was me? When Ezra was a man of the Lord, Ezra received a vision from Yahweh Bashem Shai, and even he was in fear. So it's going to be the same thing for us. But the good thing is, the blessing about it, we understand what's going on, and we also have this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to keep us stable while these things are happening. See, we know what's going on, and we know why these things are happening. That's really the comfort in all of this. Let's see here. I think that's all the precepts I wanted to bring out. So yeah, I'll go ahead and close out here. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying through the Rakakadash. Call halal, Yahweh Bashem Shai Bashem Rakakadash. Until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect.